All right, bro. How old are you now?
30.
30. All right. I just turned 31 in February, right? Kind of an awkward age, right? Because you're old enough to had learned the lessons from the past, but young enough to still feel like you're young enough to do whatever, right? You're not missing steps. So with that being said, I just want to get your take, your thoughts. Lessons learned. So boom. Lessons learned, 20s versus 30s. And any advice that you would give to any younger people?
Open a bank account savings.
Savings.
Yes.
Save that bread.
Open a savings account at a bank and save and put away for the future.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do have, how can I say this? Work on your short-term goals before you do your long-term goals. Mm-hmm. Accomplish that first. Live your life. Don't rush nothing. Be patient with stuff. Be humble. And don't take nothing for granted.
Mm. I want to dissect something that you said, right? When you said goals. Because I feel like this is something that a lot of people don't necessarily do. And it really takes away from your path, I guess you could say, right? Because goals without goals, like walking around life without goals, and this is something I did like in my early 20s. It's almost like walking around when you're just looking at your feet.
Yeah.
Long-term goals is looking up and being like, oh, okay, that's where I need to go. I need to take a left on 123rd. Now, it's okay to look down on your short-term goals, meaning your feet and the sidewalk, to make sure there's no dangers, there's no obstacles, but you still need to continue to look forward, right? Whenever you feel like you want to do something that really helped me out was I needed to ask myself, what is it and why is it? What do I want to do and why do I want to do it? Because a lot of people, so say for instance, like somebody's like, oh, I want like a lot of followers or something. I want this, I want that, right? Okay, but why? You know what I mean? And if you're honest about that why, then the what will become way easier. Your why will be your fuel. You know what I mean? Because if not, then you're just going to start something and then stop. And that was me in my early 20s. I was always the starter and stopper. I would come up with something or something that I wanted to do, pick it up and drop it. You know what I mean? Does that ever happen to you? Even now to this day, sometimes?
Well,
Excuse me.
there's a lot of stuff in my 20s that I do regret. And there's a lot of stuff, that I don't regret.
What some of you regret?
Feel like, growing up too fast, wanting to be, in that adult life and not knowing what I was getting myself into. Yeah. And then, partying so hard, living in Vegas and drinking so damn much. And, I ain't gonna lie, I was doing that shit before I was in my 20s. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like I grew up too fast. I didn't get myself a chance to like live that childhood life and explore the childhood and be a child. Yeah. I always wanted to be in the streets and party and be, the wrong crowds and shit.
That fast life.
Yeah, that's a lot of shit that I do regret, but then like I learned from it, you feel me?
Yeah.
So then I don't regret it in the same way.
Yeah.
But, being 30 now, I wish I would have did a lot of stuff before I got to this age, which was start a savings account before. I ain't started until like later in my 20s.
Right.
So I wish I would have started earlier. I wish I would have got my license, earlier. I got it later. So it's like a lot of stuff I wish I would have got earlier. So that's one thing I want to put out there. Like, don't just
wait.
Don't wait. Just be humble, be patient, and just try to live life. Day by day. Don't try to really rush your shit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you make a good point when it comes to like rushing things, because I think in my 20s I had this imaginary like template in my mind of like, oh, okay, by this time it's going to be this, and by that time I have to do this, and you know what I mean? But at the same time, you will never hit those markers that you have in your head without goal setting. You know what I mean? And if you don't hit those markers, right, it's okay. But you have to, if you really want it though, if you really want it, say you want to be young, healthy, and thriving in your 30s. Mm-hmm. Well, you know what you can't be doing? Percocets when you're 18. You know what I mean?
Facts.
You can't be drinking every night. You know?
Codeine,
you can't be doing
shit.
Drugs.
Yeah.
Because by the time you get to your 30s, it's not going to be a good look.
You just washed up.
It's not going to be a good look.
Nah.
Because when you do your 20s right, you will be excited to enter your 30s. And you will not look like you're entering your 30s. If you do your 20, I feel like people who get depressed when they enter their 30s or when they get older, that depression or that feeling of dread is actually coming from a place of, I didn't do what I was supposed to do. I didn't do the homework. I didn't do the spiritual homework. And you know what? That's okay because you're not alone. But is one thing to understand I have homework to do, and it's another thing to just put pen to paper and actually do the damn thing. You know what I mean?
But some people, well, they're programmed, you know what I'm saying, to go to college, you know, live, you know, your college life. And then by the time you get to your 30s, already have a well-established job, be college diploma, associate's degree, whatever, etc. Have a family, be ready to get married. It's programmed into them like that.
Yeah,
and
that's
people,
that's that's what I meant by like the template.
Yeah,
like this imaginary thing.
Yeah, you have this thing you're programmed in your mind that you want to do, but it doesn't end up going that way.
And you might not even like it.
Yeah,
that's the thing. That template, that like, oh, graduate here, go to college here, get married here, buy a house here.
Yeah.
That template might not be for you. You might not like that. And that's another thing that I would say, any advice for anybody younger in their 20s versus 30s is figure out what you like, what works for you, because you can't live somebody else's blueprint. You know what I mean? This life is going to be, you could find inspiration from a blueprint. You could find, you know what I mean? You can take inspiration, whatever the case may be. But at the end of the day, you're going to have to live your own blueprint and figure that out as soon as possible. You don't have to figure it out overnight. But here's the thing. The faster that you figure it out, the quicker the things that you want in life are going to be. The longer that you spend in this brainstorming area where you're like, oh, I don't really know what I like and all this other stuff, the longer that takes you, the more everything, like the rest, everything is going to be prolonged. You feel me? Like you're not going to be living that happy life that you want. You know what I mean? That, like, for example, if somebody was actually gay and they spent their whole 20s, you know, pretending that they were straight or something, and now they're in their 30s, and now all of a sudden they're like, yeah, I'm gay. Well, no, you just spent 10 years of your life miserable.
Came out the closet, bro. You bugging.
You could have done. It came out way before, and you know what I mean. But I had you like 10 boyfriends by now.
That right there turns into altercation and problems between people that you rock with between those years because you wasn't honest about your sexual preference or preparation, whatever the fuck you want to call it.
Right.
But lessons learned from 20 all the way before you get to 30. Live your life, but have a plan. Because once you get to your 30s, you think life is over. No, it's not. It gets better when you get 30 because you get more knowledge comes with it. And more, you know what I'm saying? Like, everything in life will get better. I'm 30 right now, and I'm loving it. I still feel like I'm in my 20s. You feel me?
I'll tell you right now, me at 21 versus 31, completely different.
Yeah.
Early 20s was trash. Reckless, didn't know what I was doing, didn't know who I was. I think a thing that people have to understand when you're younger, it's okay to have external things that you want and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But you need to figure yourself out first. Like, because how do you know what you want if you don't know who you are? You have to live with yourself for the rest of your life. You're going to wake up with yourself every single day to the day you die. You need to look at yourself in the mirror and be like, all right, we need to figure this out. What do we really like? What do we really want? What are we really good at? the faster that you figure yourself out, life just comes easy. I think in my early 20s, I just went along to get along because I didn't know who I was. Like, for instance, I don't like pot. I don't do pot.
Bro, you're bugging.
But here's the thing. Is that in my early 20s, I would do pot. I would smoke pot because I was more of a follower because I didn't know who I was. And then the people who did know who they were, they would be leading me. You know what I mean? Because if you think about it, the people who know themselves, they're the ones who are guiding. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, you know, you're older. You're like, I know who I am. I don't do pot. My friend could do it. He's doing it in my house. But I don't have to do it. That's the difference between when you know yourself and when you don't. And I know that might sound like a simple, stupid thing, but, you know, it's true.
All right, it's true. Everything has its truth. You know what I mean? I feel like I agree with you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everybody, it all depends because some people might not want to smoke weed and might just want to just do shrooms.
Yeah.
Some people just want to do psychedelics. They don't want to feel like they're tired or sleepy and want to eat the whole house up. You know what I'm saying?
But do you ever felt like in your early 20s
different.
you fell into peer pressure because you didn't know who you were? Did that ever happen?
No peer pressure. I always knew who I was and what I wanted to be.
That's good.
You know what I'm saying? A singer and a dancer, and I wanted to show the world how great I was with what I do. You feel me? So
That's right, Rafi, right?
you know what I'm saying?
You know what I mean?
Yes. You know what I mean? But just keeping it a buck.
Yeah.
From my 20s, I had a lot of great times in Vegas, and I had a lot of hangover days that I regret. So
A lot of days.
I would
wasted.
say my 20s was a party. So
20s was a party.
yeah, it was a party for me.
I feel like that's a thing for a lot of people these days.
But if you live in Vegas, you're gonna want to fucking party.
Yeah, I never experienced that Vegas party scene. But I think when I was younger, I partied because other people were partying. I feel like I just like I would be home or whatever, and I would see like on social media like other people out together and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then like this is another thing, 20s versus 30s. In my 20s, I was afraid to be alone. I was afraid of feeling like I was the only one who was home when everybody else, when all of my friends were out having fun without me, or I felt like I was missing out on something. Yeah. Listen, you are not missing out on anything. I promise you, when you're older, right, and you have your own business or doing whatever the case may be, and these other people don't, or you know, because they lost, because they were together partying in their 20s, wasting all that time and money, whoop-de-whoop, and you're doing your thing. You know what I mean? You think you're gonna regret that, or are you gonna regret not doing your introspective homework because you were out with the gang all the time, drinking and partying? Now, I'm not saying that those things don't have its merit or its time and place. I'm not saying you can't have friends.
Yeah.
But I'm saying you got to make those decisions in moderation, and you have to choose it carefully.
True.
You know what I mean?
I agree.
Yeah. What's something else that you feel like was different maybe, or lessons learned 20s versus 30s? Something that you're appreciative of now?
I'm appreciative of the knowledge and wisdom I'm gained through the years, talking to elders, you know, through my 20s to the 30s. And I wouldn't take back anything because I've lived, I've learned, and I'm still learning as I go. I'm a student to the game, and life is a lesson learned.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So just live it.
Yeah. It's okay. Like,
just live it.
Like, it's okay to F up.
Yeah, it's cool because everybody's going to fuck up. Everybody's going to have a moment where they get their heart broke. You're going to experience it. And if you don't, you're not human. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So live your life to the fullest. 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Just live your life.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. I think another thing, something you brought up, you know, it's okay to make mistakes.
Yeah.
You know, because here's the thing, man. I used to get things confused. I used to think that like a lot of the things I did in the past, I would look at it like regrets, right? Oh God, I wish I would have said this, or I wish I would have done that. And I spent so much time dwelling on those things. And I used to get embarrassed all the time off of my own actions or what I used to say or what I used to do or how I used to dress or whatever the case may be, right?
Yeah.
But here's the thing is that you have to expect a certain level of fucked upness. You know what I mean? As long as it's not monumental things like, you know, DUI and you end up killing a bunch of people or, you know, like killing anybody, period, or, you know, like ended up in jail. Those are like really big F ups. You know what I mean? Like those are things that are understandably regrettable if you end up in that situation. But what I mean is maybe dating somebody that you shouldn't have in your 20s. Instead of looking at regrets as something that you wish you could go back and turn around, look at your regrets, quote unquote, as the things that you used. You know what I mean? Don't let that lesson get away from you. Now, it would have been a waste of time. It will be regrettable if you never learned. Yeah. Like if you got into that toxic relationship when you were in your 20s and you fought out of that, and then later on in life you just kept doing the exact same thing. Okay, now there's merit to regret. But that's the difference between your 20s and your 30s is that you should, you know what I mean, trajectory speaking, you should be like, okay, that was a mess up. Use your regrets as something that you could learn from. Because if not, then you're just going to be, you know what I mean,
it's a circles. Yeah, it's a cycle. You know, you don't want to do all that. And one thing in my 20s, 5 years of it, I was with somebody dating this female from Hawaii. And then, like, I regretted giving 5 years to somebody, you know what I'm saying? And not knowing, like,
it's a long time.
You know what I mean? So it's like half of my 20s I was dating. So it's like I didn't really get that freedom like I wanted to, but I still had fun. I still party. I did my thing. You feel me? But when I get to this point of now being single 30, and I'm just like, damn, I wish I would have just been single all my 20s and then did the 5 years from 30 now. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Because it's a lot of stuff I feel I missed out on. You feel me?
Yeah.
But
yeah, when you're sometimes when you're in a relationship too young, you're not able. It's not a good environment for you to do the introspective homework and to work on yourself. It's hard to work on yourself. I mean, I'm not saying it's impossible, but I'm just saying sometimes when you're trying to find yourself, it's a little bit hard to balance finding yourself plus maintaining this relationship and having them constantly adjusting to who you're trying to become. You know what I mean? And then all of a sudden, like 5th year in, they're like, dude, you're not even the same person. Like, yeah, no shit. I changed a lot, actually. You know what I mean?
I grew. You know what I mean?
I grew. Yeah, you didn't.
It's a fact.
Be gone, weed.
Yes. Be gone. Now you're smoking weed.
Nah, man. Speaking of 20s, 30s, regrets, life lessons, where do you see yourself being in, you know, short-term goals, long-term goals? Where do you see yourself in a couple years? Like if like getting towards 40.
I want my music to be streaming all over the world.
There we go.
I want to own a food business, essential oils. I want to own a couple barbershops. I just want to own stuff. I'm going to be a boss. I am a boss. Right. So it's like, that's my goal, is to own stuff and to give back to the people that need it. Take care of my family. Because my mom is only getting older. My dad's only getting older. I'm only getting older. So who's going to be the breadwinner? Me. So I got to step up and do what I got to do. True. So Ralphie Wright is in here to win it. You feel me? I ain't going nowhere. So.
And that's on Boom.
That's a fact.
I think for me, obviously this is part of my goals. This is part of a business that I want to do.
And this is amazing.
Thank you, bro.
This is amazing.
I want to break the fourth wall for a second, you know, for anybody who made it this far and who's listening, you know, I'm not going to do the whole YouTube, yo, smash that fucking like button, dude, fucking sub. But at the same time, you know, every view, every like, every sub, it really, it means a lot because it's helping me achieve my goals. And in return, maybe you learned something. Maybe you got a laugh. If I even, you know, made you smile one time in the video, that's cool on my part, you know. Nice. I've been thinking a lot about legacy and what I want to leave behind, you know? And I think part of what I want to leave behind is something that was true and honest. And because I feel like a lot of people leave this planet without really being true and honest to the world like that.
Yeah.
Like, it's easy to be likable if you're just putting out thirst trapping pictures your whole life. Like, who's gonna dislike that?
Yeah.
But it's another thing to put your heart and your soul and your passion into something for the world to dissect.
Yeah. What you love to do, your
for the
craft.
world to dissect,
Yeah.
for the world to criticize. But it's okay because this is something that I want to do, and this is something that I like to do, you know?
Facts.
And it's something that I want to leave behind. And hopefully with people's help, including you and including anybody who's watching, maybe that will become a thing. But it won't become a thing without your like and sub. Sheesh. Let's go.
We're doing a survey around the country on the way population handles themselves in speech and deals with their friends and interact with their peers.